Okay, it being 7 o'clock, and we have a quorum, plus 2, I think, according to my count. The annual town meeting, 2020 annual town meeting is open. I'm your moderator, Barry DiCristofano, 198 Main Street. Thank you all for coming tonight. I know it's been stressful and it's not easy to decide to come into a closed space with other people, given the current virus, but thank you. It's important that we get this done tonight for the town. As you see, we have 2 rooms, trying to spread everybody out as best as possible. Brian Wick is acting as moderator, my assistant moderator in the back room. He'll let me know if someone needs to speak in there, and you'll be able to see what's going on in the back room on this screen. They have a similar screen in that room to watch what's going on here. Microphones for speaking. There are 3 in this room, 1 center, 1 on each side. I would ask, when you want to speak, you step to the microphone, and you'll see green tape about 6-8 feet away from both of those. 2. I'd like no more than 2 people waiting to speak at the microphone, and if you are waiting, you need to stand at one of those tape marks. In the auditorium, there are 2 microphones, 1 on each side, and it's set up the same way. As I've already noted in what I wrote in the paper, you need to wear your mask and maintain safe distances from other town meeting members. If I notice someone not following these safety procedures, I will ask them to comply. If they refuse to comply, they will be declared by me out of order and will be escorted out of town meeting. We just can't take chances. When we leave tonight, and I'll repeat this again after the meeting, we're going to exit by the closest outside doors. So for the auditorium, that would be the 2 doors to the left. There's one in the front of the auditorium and one at the back that open directly outside. If you're in the auditorium, leave slowly, maintain safe distance. I'd even try exiting by rows if you want to do it that way. But go out the closest of those side doors, go directly to your cars. Then you can take off your mask and go home. In this room in the gym, we'll be exiting by the door to my left. Again, that goes directly outside. And if you're sitting towards the back half of the gym, you can go out that center door and take your first left, and that will take you to the parking lot. And we'll have volunteers from the fire department and police to guide you out through those doors. And I'll repeat that again at the end of the night. Again, it's for everybody's safety. At this moment, I'd like everybody to rise and please observe a moment of silence for those Plympton neighbors who have passed away since our last meeting. I would especially point out the passing of past town employees and volunteers, Dick Nordahl, Sandra Zentz, Emily Ballerino, Grace Heineman, and Margaret Kierstead. While you're reflecting, please also take a moment to reflect on the current problems our country faces and how each of us in our democracy can play a role in moving us forward. Thank you, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. I'd like to thank Dennett Principal Peter Veneto and all the custodial staff for setting up these rooms tonight. You can see this is a little more than our ordinary setup, and everybody just pitched in and did everything that we needed to get done. That was great. In addition, about 2 weeks ago, we had an all-hands-on-deck meeting to plan this setup. And that included those Dennett folks, as well as our town administrator, the fire and police chiefs, Steve Pello, the Silver Lake Technology Director, the Area 58 crew, and Dennett School Committee Chairman John Williamson. My thanks to all of you for doing that. Tonight we'll be holding both our annual town meeting and the special town meeting. The annual town meeting, as you know, addresses the coming fiscal year, 2021. That starts July 1st. And then at 8 o'clock, we'll recess the annual town meeting and begin a special town meeting to address some funding changes for this current fiscal year's spending. You should have all received a mailed copy of the town meeting warrant or gotten one when you came in tonight, and I hope you've had a chance to review it. Tonight's meeting is being taped for later broadcast by Area 58 Community Access Media. Please remember to silence all your cell phones, and I ask you, I know you got them off, take them out now, please, and check. I'll wait a moment. Tonight, we have on your, I usually say on your right, but on your far right, the Board of Selectmen. John Traynor, Mark Russo, Chairperson Christine Joy, Town Administrator Liz Dennehy, Town Council Greg Corbo, and our Treasurer Tricia Detterman. On my left, Accountant Barbara Gomez, and the Finance Committee. And I'm going to get all their names right. Jason Sides, Steve Lewis, Marilyn Brown, Catherine Shepard, and over in the corner, Michael Lemieux. And I was thinking tonight, and I was looking at, first of all, you all look great with different colored masks. This is really a picture. And I was thinking when I was on the Board of Selectmen, how many people would have liked to have put things over our mouths at that time. But this is different. Okay, you were checked in by our tellers tonight, Nancy Magnuson and Patricia Mustakaris. Our peace officers tonight. In this room, we have Nate Cristofori, from the old country like my wife and I are. And in the other room, Officer Kevin Brower. Several of our officials are not residents of the town, and so I'm going to need your permission for them to address the town meeting. I would entertain a motion that will allow the following individuals to participate tonight when and if appropriate. Town Administrator Elizabeth Dennehy, Town Council Greg Corbo, Town Accountant Barbara Gomez, Interim Police Chief Matt Clancy, Fire Department Captain John Shostat, Assistant Assessor Wendy Jones, Dennett Principal Peter Veneto. Not all of these people are here at the moment. We may need them later. Silver Lake Regional School Superintendent Jill Prue and Director of Business Services Christine Healy, and Council on Aging Director Joy Marble and James Mustakaris. I would entertain a motion to allow them to participate.
So moved.
Second.
Second, thank you all. It's been moved in second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? What do we have in the back room?
Majority.
Majority is declared. It passes. Are there any other people in the audience who are not registered voters of Plympton in this room? You need to be up in one of these front seats, sir. And in the back room, I'm sure, Brian, you're taking care of that.
You can say.
If you're not a resident and you weren't on the list that was just approved and you want to speak tonight, when the time comes, I will ask town meeting for their approval for you to do that. All right, I already spoke about anyone wishing to speak needs to go to the microphones. No more than 2 people may stand behind the speaker. After being recognized by me, I'm going to ask you to state your name and your full street address. Even though we all know each other, for those who don't, it's important that we know who you are and where you live before you begin. All comments will be directed through me, and I'll pass them to the appropriate person. Article sponsors, and everybody else for that matter, will be allowed up to 3 minutes to speak. If proposing any substantial amendments tonight, they must be submitted in writing, and if that needs to be done, we'll address it when the time comes. And because I wanted to get us out of here tonight, so that we don't have to be in enclosed space more than longer, one change I will make is I'm going to, at a couple of points in the meeting, suggest that we group some of the articles together, either because they're related from funding source or having to do with the same project or principle. And I'll do that the way we do the budget. If you know past meetings, in the budget we take it section by section, and if somebody has a hold on a line item within that section, they yell hold, and then we go back and we vote on the ones with no holds, and then we go back and clear that up. I'll try to do that with some groupings of articles tonight in order to get us home sooner. I'll explain more of that when we get to the first one. I'm trying to balance our needs to minimize our contact time and with ensuring that everything gets its fair discussion and not trying to rush anything through here tonight. With that, on to Article 1. I may, depending on the time. So Article 4, as you know, as usual, is the budget. And if we get close to 8 o'clock and we haven't started Article 4 yet, I may ask for your permission to pass over that and save it for after the special, just so that we can take it up as a whole. But we'll see how it goes. On to the annual. Article 1, to hear reports of the town officers and act thereon, and to receive and act upon reports of any committees and give authority or instructions or take any other action relative thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move the article as printed in the warrant.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any officers or the committees that want to give a report to the town? Seeing no hands and not hearing anything from the auditorium, we'll move on. I'll take a vote. Do we need to vote on that? Okay. All those in favor of Article 1, raise your right hands. Opposed? Auditorium?
Unanimous.
Unanimous in both, majority in this room. Article 2, article passes. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to authorize the town treasurer to enter into compensating balance agreements for FY 2021 as permitted by and in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53F, or take any other action relative to thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move the article as printed in the warrant.
I'll second that.
It's been moved in second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no hands,
Justine, you have to also read the accept.
we're having a meeting of minds here.
You're good. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So seeing no hands for Article 2, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Unanimous in this room?
Unanimous in this room.
Article passes. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to amend the wage and personnel classification plan effective July 1, 2020, and to pay as wages the following sums or take any other action relative thereto. And how I'll do this, I'm going to treat this kind of the way we treat the budget. I'm going to take them by groupings, and if somebody wants to hold one of the lines within the group, say hold, and we will address that. So as printed in your warrant, the first grouping is the fire department, the firefighter, paramedic, and there are 3 grades under that.
Mr. Moderator, I move the article as printed in the warrant, except that the part-time firefighter paramedic line shall read as follows. FY20 bottom of range, $18. FY20 top of range, $23.40. FY21 bottom of range, $19.24. FY21 top of range, $25.12.
Okay, so for those who didn't quite follow that, what the motion is to modify the part-time firefighter paramedic basically by flipping the proposed ranges. So the 2020 ranges were printed in the 21 range spaces, and the 21 range were printed in the 2020 spaces. So it would read 2020 $18 to $23.40, and 2021 $19.24 to $25.12. Any other discussion on that first group, firefighter and paramedic? I need to vote on that motion first. Right? I need to vote on that motion to modify that first?
No, that's part of the motion.
Okay.
So now you can go through and ask for the whole.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. All right, so now I'm going to, so we've got that one. I'm going to go through now and go through the separate groupings. The paramedic group, there's a full-time captain paramedic, part-time captain paramedic, lieutenant paramedic, and paramedic on call. EMT group, full-time captain EMT, part-time captain EMT, lieutenant EMT, firefighter EMT call. Firefighter. Highway department, highway superintendent, working foreman, motor equipment repairman, equipment operator, truck driver laborer. Clerical election workers, senior clerk warden, constable. Elder affairs, director elder affairs, it's a stipend, and a senior aide. Library director, senior library technician, circulation assistant. Police other, special police officer, police matron.
We have a hold.
Yes. Did I hear a hold? Professional. Brian, did I hear a hold from the other room?
Gary, did you hear that hold?
I missed it. I thought it was a voice speaking to me.
Police matron was hold. Held.
Okay. Okay, so who wants to discuss the police matron line? Okay. Go ahead, sir. Please go to a microphone and state your name and your address.
You need to get a little closer to the mic, please, if you can. Can you get a little closer to the mic?
Hold on, we can't hear that mic in this room yet. This is a COVID-related incident.
Okay, is that good? My name is Ted Toronto. I live at 40 Brook Street. My only point is that I'd like to see that the special police officer and the police matron be paid the same amount.
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear that, Ted. You wanted to see...
I would like to suggest that the special police officer and the police matron be paid the same amount in all fairness.
Would someone from Wage and Personnel care to address that rating range that's in the warrant?
Alan Wheelock, 10 Center Street, Chairman, Wage and Personnel. I would defer to the police chief on that one.
I'm sorry, Alan. Would you please repeat that?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Alan Wheelock, 10 Center Street, Chairman, Wage and Personnel. That wage rate is not a wage and personnel decision. I would defer to the police chief on that.
Police chief will address that salary range.
Matt Clancy, interim police chief. I believe the question was, why do we have a different rate for the special police officer and matron?
Yes.
Essentially, I'm looking at the monitor. I want to make sure he's, yes, is that? Okay. Completely different jobs. The requirements, training requirements are significant, so it's, there needs to be at least a modest grade separation there. The responsibilities of the special police officer can be superior than that of a matron. And frankly, the matron is very rarely do we actually utilize the matron service.
Mr. Toronto, is that a sufficient explanation?
You'll have to do. Thanks.
Moving on. Professional, land use coordinator, assistant assessor, health agent, conservation agent. Town hall support, assistant town assistant town accountant, assistant town clerk, assistant treasurer collector, administrative assistant, senior clerk, and clerk. Town labor, senior disposal attendant, town custodian, and laborer. Veteran affairs, veterans agent, a stipend. So hearing no other holds, with that one change that we made to the part-time firefighter paramedic, where we flipped the 2020 range with the 2021 range because they were misprinted. The motion has been made and seconded to approve Article 3. All those in favor of Article 3, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Unanimous in this room. Auditorium?
Sorry,
I'm sorry? What was the vote in the auditorium, Brian? You got cut off.
Can you hear me okay? Yes, okay. Majority.
Majority and unanimous in here. The motion passes. And it is 7:25. Okay, let's go for Article 4. To see if the town will fix the compensation of elected officials and to see what sums of money the town will raise and appropriate, including appropriations from available funds or borrow to defray charges and expenses of the town, including debt and interest for the ensuing year, or take any other action relative thereto. All right, so with the budget, I am going to, again, read through by sections. And if somebody has a line within a section they want to hold, call out hold, and we will address that. Or after we address the ones with no holds. That first group, insurance and pension. Total insurance and pension recommended by Finance Committee is $1,243,613.
Hold.
Okay, whoever hold, please come to a microphone and speak to the.
I have a microphone. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Which line did you want to?
Line 20, group insurance.
Yep.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $50,000 from free cash and $50,000 from the overlay surplus fund, and to raise and appropriate $380,000 for a total of $480,000 for group insurance. No change to the amount, just the funding sources.
Okay. Do we have to vote on that change, Council? Okay. So Finance Committee's specifying where that $480,000 is to come from, $50,000 free cash, $50,000 overlay surplus, and raise and appropriate for the remaining $380,000. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed?
Did we get a second on that?
Majority in this room?
Majority.
Okay, so that change is made. Hearing no other holds in that section, now we'll vote total insurance and pension of $1,243,613. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Unanimous in this room?
Unanimous here.
Next section, total general government, $75,768. Hearing no holds, all those in favor of voting the amount for total general government of $75,768, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Unanimous in here.
Unanimous.
Total assessors, $82,292. Hearing no holds, all those in favor of voting total assessors budget at $82,292, please raise your right hand. You beat me to it. All those opposed? Unanimous in here?
Unanimous.
Town clerk, total town clerk's office, $92,958. I hear a hold. Would you like to speak to your hold?
For line item 180?
Please use a microphone. We have a hold from the town clerk.
Line item 180, line item 197. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
State your name and address, please.
Patricia Detterman, 32 Parsonage Road. I want to speak to first the line item 180 for the town clerk's salary. The town clerk is elected, and this position does not fall under wage and personnel clarifications. Historically in Plympton, the town clerk's salary has remained with the person you elected. It has not been reduced due to an upcoming election or someone taking office to fulfill an unfulfilled term. This year's town clerk's salary, FY20, which we're in currently, was decreased by the Finance Committee after papers were pulled for the ballot for last year's election. The decrease was 11%. The former town clerk requested a 2.25 cost of living increase on her previous salary to make it a total of $47,163. It was decreased to $42,000. I'm not sure what the criteria to calculate the salary, other than the discussion from the Finance Committee. They stated three things. It was not an election year. The job duties were calculated for 25 hours per week on average, and a new person would be taking office. Number one, it was not an election year. However, we do have an election every year. We have our annual town meeting, our special town meeting, those are both elections. Our annual town election, the selectmen's, they added a special town meeting in December. That is a third election. And we had the presidential primary this past March, making it 4 elections. Number two, the job duties were calculated for an average of 25 hours a week. My predecessor reported that it took up to 30 hours or more to be able to satisfy the duties of this job. At the Finance Committee meeting, the accountant also stated that she knew this from our former town clerk. As far as being a new person, I have volunteered for this town in many capacities. I have been an election worker, and on June 12th, I celebrated an anniversary of 8 years in the town clerk's office. I was the assistant since December 2012, and I was elected as your town clerk last year. This year, the office has faced many challenges. The resignation suddenly of our former town clerk, the sudden resignation of my first assistant, the limited access to the town building during COVID-19, being the only person in the office for a total of 4 months without support staff. Without any additional compensation or the ability to take vacation in the past 18 months, it has been a struggle. I was out of the office a total of 1 week last year in order to attend the Institute to graduate to be a town clerk that is certified for this town. I'm self-motivated, service-oriented, consistent with the way I treat people. I'm honest and hardworking. Some of my achievements I couldn't do without the people in this town, and I appreciate it. I'm grateful that I have been supported emotionally and through the election, and I strive to be the best clerk I can. I make the motion to restore the clerk's salary to a fair wage. I did a salary survey by the Wage and Personnel's encouragement for the Plymouth town clerks, neighboring towns, the criteria, the average I got for Plymouth County town clerks, $68,000. The figure of 55 is the lowest paid town clerk other than myself in Plymouth County. It is a bordering town, and she limits her hours to 24 hours a week and has help for more than 35 hours a week. Although this might not be the year to amend the salary to what I believe for my profession it should come to, and I think there should be a study. So I've come up with a figure of if the town clerk's salary, my former town clerk salary was approved for last year at $47,163 with a 1.69% cost of living increase. It's a total of $49,925.
And that's what you're moving we change this to?
I'm moving to amend, raise and appropriate from funds to amend the clerk's salary to $49,925.
Do I have a second for that? Second. Anyone else want to speak to this item?
Mr. Moderator,
I recognize the Chairman of the Finance Committee.
Nathaniel Side, 68 Winnetoxer Road, Chairman of the Finance Committee. The majority of the argument that was just presented referred to fiscal year 2020. I'll remind the town that we are voting on fiscal 2021, so I would say that a lot of the items that were presented are not valid to tonight's argument. That being said, the Finance Committee arrived at our decision thusly. Last year, when we were setting a salary for the town clerk, we took into account the number of hours that the clerk was expected to work, which we agreed was roughly 30 hours per week. We also took into account the qualifications of what we anticipated a new incoming clerk would be, and we anticipated that person would have fewer qualifications than the incumbent at the time. Ultimately, that proved to be true, but we did not know that when we set the budget last year because the election had not been held. So we did not know who the person would be that was assuming this position. With respect to the salary for this year, yes, we were in receipt of the salary survey that the clerk just referenced, which detailed the salaries for town clerks in Plymouth County. Now, I don't think I need to tell anyone that Plympton is certainly one of the smaller communities in Plymouth County, so you're not exactly comparing apples to apples when you're comparing the size of the town, the level of responsibilities, the amount of employees that the town clerk oversees, the number of hours that the town hall is open, the number of hours that the town clerk is expected to work, so on and so forth. We, as a finance committee, took it upon ourselves to conduct a similar salary survey of towns in the Commonwealth that are of similar size and expectations and duties and responsibilities of Plympton. For that results that came back, the salary that we originally presented of, well, I apologize, I don't have the number that we originally presented, but it represented a 3.6% increase over the 42,000 from last year. That number placed the Plympton town clerk in the top third of town clerk salaries for towns of similar size in the Commonwealth. And of some of the towns that exceeded our proposed salary, the duties were different. Lastly, I'll point out that the clerk is not certified, as is evidenced by line 185 being empty. If she was a certified clerk, she would be entitled by statute to a $1,000 compensation. You'll see that that line is empty, indicating that the clerk is not certified. So you have to take that into account. Our prior clerk was certified. So you can't compare the current clerk with the prior clerk in terms of skill level or qualifications. Lastly, when the determination was made, I'll wrap it up. When the determination was made to hold all town employees to a 1.6% increase out of fairness to everyone, we reduced the town clerk salary as proposed to $42,672. Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak to this?
May I respond?
I'm sorry?
May I respond?
Yes.
As far as a small community, we are a small community in our region. However, you cannot compare a small community in the South Shore for a town clerk that must live in the town, that town clerk is elected, to the same size community in the Berkshires that you can buy a house for $85,000. It's not a comp. Number two, as far as the responsibilities and duties and reporting and everything you have to do for posting meetings, running elections, doing the census, keeping the records for all the town employees, swearing in committees and boards and commissions, it doesn't matter what size town you have, all the duties are the same, and it's as much work in our town as any other town. As far as certification, are you saying, Mr. Sides, that excuse me, through the moderator, I'm a certified municipal clerk. For him to say that I'm not is inaccurate. The certification he's talking about is a certified Massachusetts municipal clerk, which requires 3 years of being a town clerk, and I have 1. So that was incorrect. And as far as communities having a salary of not in the same comparable amount as mine. I interviewed for an appointed town clerk last month that started at $68,000 and has a range up to 84. I had a mask-to-mask interview with a panel that deemed me qualified.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak to this? Yes, ma'am?
Nancy Butler.
Two-step. Okay. Try it again, Nancy.
Nancy Butler, 49 Maple Street, retired town clerk. I would just like to say I believe this position deserves a compensation greater than what she's receiving. There is no way this job can be done in 30 hours a week. As town clerk myself, and I know Patricia does the same thing, many Saturday, many evenings, we would go in to do the required work that was needed. So I wish you would all consider the recommendation by the town clerk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Butler. Anyone else? Seeing no one else rising, I will take a vote. And there's been a motion made and seconded to alter line 180, town clerk salary, from the Finance Committee recommendation of $42,672 to read $49,925. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? I'm going to have to count that one. Please raise your right hands again.
For or against?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Raise your right hands for. Got to figure that out. Against. I have a slight majority in this room. Brian?
Majority in favor in this room.
So the modification passes. We're still in that group. There was a hold on line 197, election support staff. And I think that was...
Sure, it's along the same lines.
Name and
Patricia Detterman, 32 Parsonage Road. Last year, the former town clerk put in for a different wage that's for the support staff, a different amount. That was altered before it went before the Finance Committee, and then it was altered, decreased a second time. The reason for the change does not make sense to me. The service that the support staff does for the town is incredible. We are the front porch of the town. Any type of service that someone wants, we're the trusted voices of the town. They come to us. We help them navigate everything from getting a dump sticker to a burn permit.
I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about the election support staff.
The election support staff.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I meant the town clerk support staff.
I'm sorry, so this is now discussing
188.
188, the
Yeah.
town clerk support staff.
Sorry, I'm a little nervous. The hours that are needed in there are not only from the assistant town clerk, but we also need large projects done, and I itemized coverage for the assistant town clerk and the town clerk to be out of the office for meetings, educational purposes, and we would need backup in the office, we'd need help with projects, and this amount for support does not cover giving the town the services they need, and I feel that a lot of detail-oriented and important reporting and service will be harmed by not having adequate support.
And what, do you have a motion for a different amount?
I don't. I would like it to be, again, restored to what it was for the prior year, although it doesn't reflect what was asked of by the assistant, from the former town clerk.
So you are motioning to change the
My
line?
motion is to amend the town clerk support staff to what I requested, the 25,804.
Do I have a second to that? I have a second. Does anyone else care to discuss that line? The motion is to change the, line 188 Finance Committee recommendation of 22,186 to 25,804.
Mr. Moderator,
Yeah, I recognize the chairman of the Finance Committee.
the reason the Finance Committee arrived at the number that we did is because the person that holds the position currently is a retiree and is limited in the amount of hours that she may work in a calendar year to 960 hours per year. If you take that 960 hours and multiply it by her hourly rate, shazam, you get 22,186.
Anyone else care to speak to this? You do?
Mr. Moderator, I think I explained that in order to have updated voter information, changes with legislation and education, we do need the support of someone else being in the office besides the assistant town clerk, and that's why the amount is higher. It's for support staff.
Anyone else care to speak to this? Seeing no one else, I'll take a vote now on the motion to change line 188 from 22,186 to 25,804. All those in favor, raise your right hand, please. All those opposed? Does not pass in this room. Auditorium?
Too close for me to call. We need to do it again.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Down hands, all those opposed.
It passes by 2 votes.
All right, I'm going to have to get a better count because I think it only failed by 2 votes here, so I have to do an exact. If you are in favor of this, please stand. Please be seated. And if you're opposed, please stand. Please be seated. I have 10 for and 12 opposed.
Sorry, Barry. Can we do the stand in my room? I have 9 opposed. I missed the...
Yep, so for the auditorium, all in favor, please stand. Please be seated. All opposed, please stand.
I have 13 for, 9 opposed.
So that gives me 23 for and 21 opposed. It passed. The motion to mod passes. Okay, so that was line 188 is now 25,804. Do I have a new total for the town clerk? Yes.
$103,829.
103,829. So now we'll vote on the town clerk section as a whole. Town clerk, total town clerk, now $103,829. All in favor, raise your right hand. I'm sorry? This whole article's moved. I'm doing it by section. All those in favor of town clerks, total town clerk, $103,829. Opposed? Majority in this room.
Majority is here.
Next section, total accounting, tax, and treasurer, $186,249. Hearing no holds, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Unanimous.
Unanimous.
Total selectmen, $323,053. Hearing no holds, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous in this room.
Unanimous.
Total Board of Health, $35,398. Hearing no holds, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Down hand, sorry, opposed? Majority.
Unanimous.
Turning the page. Total Public Works, $591,678. Hearing no holds. All in favor of total public works, raise your right hand. Down hands. Opposed? Unanimous in here.
Unanimous.
Total personal protection of personal property, $26,617. Hearing no holds. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Down hands. Opposed? Unanimous.
Unanimous.
Total building department, $95,116. Hearing no holds, all in favor, raise your right hand. Down hands. Opposed? Unanimous in here.
Unanimous.
Total fire EMS services, $695,678.
We have a hold.
Okay, gentleman or woman in the other room who held, please come to the microphone.
My name's Nicholas Gorham, address 23 Heather's Path. This has nothing to do with the pay they received. This is to do with a bill I got from the fire department.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm going to have to keep you on task here and on focus. We're talking about the budget of the fire department. That's all we can discuss right now.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? All in favor of total fire and EMS services, $695,678. Raise your right hand. Down hands. Opposed? Unanimous in here.
Unanimous.
Total police services, $1,069,879. Hearing no holds, all those in favor of total police services, $1,069,879, raise your right hand. Down hands. Opposed? Unanimous in here.
Majority.
Total emergency dispatch, $103,000. Hearing no holds, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous in here.
Unanimous.
Total veterans, $59,756. Hearing no holds, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous in here.
Unanimous.
Total library, $155,239. Hearing no holds, you know the drill. Raise your right hands if you're in favor, please. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous in here.
Unanimous.
Total local school, $3,714,545. I have a hold. Sir, to go to the microphone.
John Williamson, 255 Main Street, Chair of the Plympton School Committee. I have a hold on all three lines there. When the budget was being put together for town meeting, there were additional changes based on what was originally requested, and the Finance Committee put together a budget that was close to a 1.6% budget. The school committee had not had an opportunity yet to look through the budget for additional savings in order to come up with the requested 1.6% budget. As a result, these numbers were provisional, and the school committee has done its work, and we now have new numbers for each of the lines. Mr. Moderator, would you like me to explain what each of the lines should represent?
Yes, please.
For elementary school costs, we would change the line from $2,494,050 to $2,441,399. For special education, we would change it from $1,115,495 to $1,186,396.
Was that 396 or 296?
396. And for vocational education, that line would change from 105,000 to 90,000. Representing, and that would represent a total proposed number for local schools of $3,717,795.
So I have a motion to change lines 700, 705, and 710, increasing 700 and 705 slightly and decreasing 710. Does anyone care to else speak to these lines?
We're actually decreasing
You're decreasing
700 and 710, increasing 705.
Okay, I'm sorry. Decreasing the first and the third and only increasing the middle one.
And coming in with a budget that is pretty close to the recommended budget.
Okay.
Would you like some explanation as to what we are doing with the budget?
Why don't we hear the questions first
Very
and
good.
then see if what's going to be needed to address it. Yes, sir.
Jason Frazier, 66 Maple Street, Vice Chair of the Plympton Elementary School Committee, and I support the budget as presented by the Chair. Thank you.
Nancy Butler, 49 Maple Street. I'm just asking for the figures for line number 705. I didn't get those. If you could repeat it, please.
705 is $1,186,396. Okay, John, if you wanted to give some more explanation, everybody who wanted to speak otherwise has spoken.
Yeah, just briefly, we had originally come in with a pretty conservative and tight budget, recommending a 3.86% increase. In working with the town and the Finance Committee, and understanding that there were requests to keep all salary increases to 1.6%, and also to have a general budget increase of no more than 1.6%. The school committee worked with the administration to really find places where we could trim the budget while still maintaining the necessary services at the school. The increase in the special education line is to address current needs within the building in order to hire an additional special education teacher in an effort to provide access equal access to the education that these students need, and to keep them in the building, and to prevent them having to go out of district, which would incur significant costs to the town. And we did this in an effort to follow what the town wanted us to do with respect to the budget, but also trying to make sure that we do what we need to do for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to comment or have a question? Seeing no hands, I'll take a vote on, let's do it as a block. Modified local school, can I do it as a block, council?
I'm sorry?
Can I do it as a block, or do I need to do each line now?
No, you can do it as a block.
Okay, so we'll stick as a block. Total local school is now $3,717,795. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Down hands opposed? It's unanimous in this room.
Unanimous in here.
That passes with the modified numbers. Total regional schools, $2,463,609. I have a hold in here. Yes, sir.
Jason Frazier, 66 Maple Street, Chair of the Silver Lake Regional School Committee. We would like to have that number amended to $2,513,608.42, which would represent a 0.4% increase over last year's number.
Is that the total, or what's the breakdown of the two lines, please?
That would be the total assessment. If I can break it down for you, the operating number would be $2,327,152.10. The exempt capital would be $186,456.32.
Mr. Moderator, those are the numbers that are in the requested column, so you can
Okay,
just
thank
refer
you.
to that.
Okay, thank you. So the motion is to change the Finance Committee's recommended budget for the lines in the total regional schools to the FY21 requested numbers of $2,327,152 and $186,457. Anyone else care to speak to this?
Through you, Mr. Moderator.
Let me just see if someone else has something else first.
Could you repeat the total, please?
The total is $2,513,609. Okay, go ahead.
If we vote to approve this number tonight, and one other town votes to approve this number tonight, under 603 CMR 41.05, if our state Chapter 70 funding comes in below what we're expecting, the regional school does have the ability to amend the budget down as long as the assessments to the towns does not increase without incurring another special town meeting. Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak about this modification?
Mr. Moderator, I'm over here.
Yes.
Just by way of explanation as to how the Finance Committee arrived at our number, we had originally agreed with the number as presented, $2,513,609. When it came time for discussion and we were determining to hold budgets to a 1.6% cost of living increase across the board, we went back and forth with the Silver Lake School Committee to make our wishes known. At one time, I'm sure several of you in the room have seen or heard or been privy to the different discussions that have gone on over the last several weeks with the regional school committee. They vote one number, then they change their mind, and they vote another number, and they change their mind again, and so on and so forth. When the finance committee met, I don't know, a month or 6 weeks ago to establish our number, we were anticipating that the regional school budget would vote an overall decrease in the amount of assessment to the three towns, somewhere in the vicinity of $500,000. Since Plympton's assessment is approximately 11%, our expected decrease in our individual town assessment would be somewhere around $55,000. So we conservatively deducted $50,000 from the amount that was requested, which is how we arrived at the number that is before you, the $2,463,609, and that is the number that we stand by. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Frazier.
Through you, Mr. Moderator, as a Plympton resident and the Silver Lake Regional School Committee Chair, I have no record of being reached out to by the Finance Committee to discuss amending our budget. I have had discussions with Board of Selectmen personnel about this matter. It is complicated. 30% of the Silver Lake Regional School budget is Chapter 70 funds, which the state has not given us any indication at this point of what that number may be. It is most likely that Silver Lake Regional School will have to amend its budget. But if you vote yes tonight, we will have the ability to amend that budget without forcing the town to have a special town meeting. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes?
Ann Sobolewski, 255 Main Street. I just want to build upon what Mr. Frazier just said. The fact of the matter is, if the money that comes in from the state is less, then we can amend this down. It can be reduced without us all having to come back again here and take care of it that way. But if we vote the budget as recommended by the Finance Committee and the money comes in, we're stuck with that. Why not take the opportunity to give our students, and I will admit, I have 2 students at the high school. I'm speaking for their education, for what's good for them. I think this is something that should be done now, and if the money comes in less, then we can deal with it that way later. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
It may seem as though the Finance Committee has it in for the school department. We don't. We're holding them to the same standard we held every other department in town this year.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
over here,
Sorry.
over here.
No, I'm going to come over to the speakers.
Marilyn Brown, 46 Elm Street. This is really tough for everybody, I know, because a lot of people have lost their jobs, but...
Can you get closer to the microphone, please?
Oh, sure. I said this is a tough decision, because people are having a hard time all over the place. The town also has no idea of what it's going to receive from the state and local aid. I think we have to be conservative, and I support what the Finance Committee did. And I have to say I was surprised because I heard and I knew about the decrease that the Silver Lake Committee had made. And so the sudden increase just seemed to be a bit of a surprise and not a particularly pleasant one during these times. So I hope you will support the Finance Committee's budget recommendation.
Anyone else with a new comment to make? Go ahead, you can go first.
John Williamson, 255 Main Street. I would agree that this has been an incredibly difficult time to try and do budgets with respect to the schools. I think what the Silver Lake Committee has tried to do is to try and read the tea leaves and come up with different budgets in an effort to try and get ahead of what the state is doing. And as they approached and went through this whole process, it became abundantly clear that we have no idea what's going to happen with the state budget. The governor's already borrowed $2.6 billion on a $44 billion budget. And so it's more than likely that there are going to be significant cuts to Chapter 70 money and to other state aid. And what they're asking for here is not an increase in the budget. They voted this budget. But what they're asking for is the ability to make sure that we don't have to all come back, and as much fun as I'm having wearing a mask all night, do that again in a few months. Because if we don't have a number from 2 of the towns, that's where we'll be. We will be back. We will have to get the budget. And, you know, the Silver Lake Committee is committed to, one, trying to do what they can for the students, but also understanding that they have to do that within the amounts that are available to them. So I think this is a prudent choice to vote this budget, and we know that we'll have to have the ability for the Silver Lake Committee to go about amending it down if the time comes and needed to do that. And the budget itself is only a 0.4% increase. It's pretty conservative. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Carolyn DeCristofano, 198 Main Street. I just realized I had absolutely no idea how much it costs to run a special town meeting, and I'd like that figure as something that I can compare to as I weigh whether or not to come back for a town meeting.
Town clerk, can you give us a ballpark cost of a special town meeting?
About $2,000.
Thank you. Anyone else? Something new to add?
Just a comment on the 0.4% increase overall budget. Yes, that looks like a wonderful number, but again, you're not comparing apples to apples because the number of students that we have enrolled in the district changes from year to year. Our percentage changes from year to year. So our percentage.
I don't think I'm hearing anything new. I'm hearing.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Do you want me to address the student enrollment? I have the figure if you want it. I can sit down.
Well, I'm going to have to let Mr. Sides finish his comment first. I cut him off because to me this isn't any, I wasn't hearing anything new. Go ahead.
Well, and my only final comment would be that, yes, we understand we're establishing a number for the regional school district to operate within, and we don't think that's a bad thing. We're giving them an idea of what the town of Plympton is willing to pay. It doesn't happen to agree with what they asked for. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a wrong thing.
Mr. Frazier.
Mr. Moderator, through you, in FY20, we had 199 students in the Silver Lake Regional Schools. In FY21, we have 196 students in Silver Lake School. We are educating the same amount of students with $11,000 more dollars. We would appreciate your support for this budget as presented. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, just through you to answer Carolyn's question.
Yes, Ms. Joy.
The cost of the town meeting is probably closer to $9,000 between the AV, which was like $4,500, because if we're coming back in a COVID environment, we're going to have to do that again. $2,000 for, actually $3,000 for like police and fire support. Mailing is about $2,000, so you're looking at closer to $9,000, and that's not even including Tricia's, the people that she's got here as well.
Thank you. Okay, I see no more hands. So the question is, are we to vote on the proposed modified Silver Lake budget, total regional school budget, for a total of I'm going to take them one line at a time because one line's changing and one isn't. Line 750, total regional assessment. The motion is to fund that at $2,327,152. All in favor, please raise your right hands. Down hands, opposed. Okay. Majority in this room.
Majority.
So the modified line 750 passes. Line 755, debt and interest regional school stands at $186,457. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed. Unanimous in this room?
Unanimous.
Okay, so we have just passed the total regional schools at a new amount of $6,309,100. Oh, I'm sorry. Total regional schools of $2,513,609. All right, last group, reserve fund interest, principal and interest debt exclusion, for a total of $397,875.
Hold.
I hear a hold.
Over here.
Chairman of the Finance Committee.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the amount of $169,275 from the Capital Stabilization Fund for the principal and interest payment on the police station debt, which is line 825.
Okay, so that one's going to need a 2/3 vote, right, because it's from capital stabilization, Council? Okay, so let's take the first 4 lines first, because there was not a hold on those. So line 800, $110,000 reserve fund. Line 810, interest, loan, and refunds, $3,000. Line 815, principal and interest, $46,231. Line 820, debt exclusion, $69,369. All in favor of those 4 lines as read, please raise your right hand. Down hands opposed. Unanimous in this room.
Unanimous.
And now the last line, $825 police station debt. The motion is to fund it at the amount printed, $169,275, but to take it from the Capital Stabilization Fund. This will require a 2/3 vote. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Down. All opposed? It is unanimous in this room.
2/3 majority.
So it passes with a 2/3 majority. And that wraps it up for Article 4.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Before we move on from the budget, can we just have clarification as to what the total raise and appropriate is and the total from other sources?
This is the other one that's coming from capital, right?
The question from town council was to get clarification on what portion of this total budget is from raise and appropriate and what is from other sources. And we got the Brain Trust working on it. I know everyone can leave when they want, but I really feel bad when people leave after their pet items have been voted on. It's not fair to the rest of us.
Yes. Yes. So we changed the amounts of the funding sources for line 20 and line 825. So if you remove those amounts, which total $269,275, the raise and appropriate amount is $11,207,169.
And does that, through you, Mr. Moderator, does that include the changes to the school budget as well? And the town clerk's budget?
That's everything we just voted, yes.
Thank you.
All right, so that concludes Article 4. It being now a little bit past 8 o'clock, I'm going to recess the annual town meeting to go to the special town meeting, which you will find in your packet immediately after the budget. There are 7 articles for us to address. Article 1 of the Plympton Special Town Meeting, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds the sum of $29,882.13 to pay for the final change order for the Plympton Police Station building project or take any action relative thereto. Do I hear a motion for that?
Mr. Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer the sum of $29,882.13 from the overlay surplus to pay the final change order of the Plympton Police Station building project.
I'll second that.
So the motion has been made and second to take this funding from the overlay surplus account. Any discussion?
John Williamson, 255 Main Street, Chair of the Town Properties Committee. The purpose of this is, as it says, to pay for the last change order. When we were putting in the driveway for the police station, which was an unexpected surprise that we were able to do that, once they started digging there, they found about 3 to 4 feet of unsuitable soils, which had to be removed and replaced in order to be able to put that driveway in. So this was something that we got a really good deal on to be able to put in, and allows us to have that extra driveway there.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no hands, all in favor of Article 1 as printed in the warrant, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed? It's unanimous in this room.
Unanimous.
Article 2, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds the sum of $6,897 to pay unpaid bills for the prior fiscal year or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Did the motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $2,153.09 from the overlay surplus to pay the following unpaid bills for a prior fiscal year. Eversource, $1,018.50. WB Mason, $98.69. Comcast, $286.05. Comcast, $332.63. West Parts and Supply, $26.42. Linda Letty, $359.80. Amy Dion, $23.25. Registry of Deeds, $7.75 for a total of $2,153.09.
I'll second.
So I have a motion and second to change the total funding of Article 2 to $2,153.09 for various bills from the previous fiscal year. Do I have any other comment? Seeing no comments, everyone in favor of the modified total of $2,153.09 for Article 2, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed? It's unanimous.
Unanimous.
Article 3, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds the sum of $10,000 to the OPEB account or take any other action relative thereto. The OPEB, by the way, has to do with retirement and personnel benefits.
Motion? A motion?
For Article 3?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town will vote to transfer the sum of $10,000 from the overlay surplus to be added to the OPED account.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing no one wanting to discuss this, all those in favor of Article 3 as printed, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed? It's unanimous.
Unanimous.
Article 4, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds a sum of money not to exceed $50,000 to be added to the town buildings and maintenance emergency article or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $50,000 from the overlay surplus to be added to the town building and maintenance emergency article.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to fund Article 4 for $50,000 from the overlay surplus account. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed? Majority in this room?
Unanimous.
Article passes. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to make the following line item transfers in the fiscal year 2020 budget as voted at the May 15, 2019 annual town meeting or take any other action relative thereto. Let me go through them first. Transfer from line 10, vocational education, $1,069.16 to the Special Needs Reserve Fund for unexpected expenses relative to special education. Line 710, vocational education, transfer from there, $5,000 to line 700, elementary school costs for routine maintenance of the sprinkler cistern, and also to transfer from line 17, vocational education, $21,790 to line 700, elementary school costs for the purchase of technology hardware, including document cameras, Chromebooks, Chromebook carts, and iPads with cases. Do I have a motion, and then we can look to modify it from there if we need to?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, I move the article as written.
And second?
Second.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Moderator, I have an amendment. We'd like to strike the second item there for $5,000 with respect to the routine maintenance of the sprinkler cistern.
You want to take it out entirely?
We want to take it out. We're going to be able to pay for that with existing funds within the school budget, so we do not need to move that money.
I have a motion to delete the second transfer for $5,000. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
And any further discussion on it? Seeing no hands, first I'll vote on the modification to strike the second line of this article, transferring the $5,000 from line 17 to line 1700. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Down hands, all opposed. And now on the total article, Article 5, as printed without that $5,000 middle. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed. Unanimous?
Unanimous.
Article 6, to see if the town will vote to transfer from the sale of town property account the sum of $8,100 raised from the sale of the fire department's modular home to cover the cost of repairs necessary for the Plympton Fire Station and all costs incidental or related thereto, or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Steve Silva, 24 Pope's Farm, Fire Chief, Town of Plympton. Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $8,100 from the sale of the town property account from the sale of the fire department's modular home to cover cost of repairs necessary for the Plympton Fire Station and all costs incidental or related thereto.
I'll second.
Would you like to speak to that, sir? Anyone who would care to speak to this article? All in favor of Article 6, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed. Unanimous?
Unanimous.
Article 7, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds the sum of $7,000 for the replacement of the fire department's ladders that were rendered out of service due to safety issues, or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, Steve Silva, again, 24 Pope's Farm, Fire Chief, Town of Plympton. On Article 7, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $7,000 from the overlay surplus for the replacement of the fire department ladders that were rendered out of service due to safety issues.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to take the $7,000 for Article 7 from the overlay surplus account to replace ladders. Any discussion? Seeing no hands, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed. Unanimous in this room.
Unanimous.
That concludes the special town meeting. Congratulations. But we're not done yet. Back to the annual town meeting. We are on Article 5.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $33,000 from free cash to conduct financial audits for fiscal year 2021.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second for Article 5 to transfer from free cash the sum of $33,000. Any discussion? Seeing no hands, all those in favor of Article 5, please raise your right hand. Down hands opposed? Unanimous in here?
Unanimous.
Article 6, to see if the town will vote to accept and expend such sums of money allotted or to be allotted to the town from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 90, or any other state roadway reimbursement programs for the fiscal year 2021, and borrow in anticipation of reimbursement such sums as may be available as the state's share of the cost of work, said Chapter 90, or take any other action relative thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to borrow in anticipation of reimbursement the sum of $169,000 and $169,092 as the state's share of the cost of work under said Chapter 90 of the Massachusetts General Laws.
Second?
I have a motion and a second for Article 6 in the amount of $169,092 in anticipation of borrowing that in anticipation of Chapter 90 reimbursement. Any discussion? Seeing no hands for that, all in favor of Article 6, please raise your right hand. Down hands opposed. It's unanimous.
Unanimous.
Okay, here comes one of those special things I talked about. There are 7 articles in front of us, not quite in a row, that all are proposing to fund things from the Capital Stabilization Fund. And they all require a 2/3 vote. So I'm going to ask that we look at these all together. So I'm going to kind of treat it the way we did the budget. I'm going to read off the 7 articles that I intend to vote together. If anyone wants to put a hold on one of these 7 articles, we'll do that. We'll vote the ones that are unheld, and then we will come back to the held one. So just so you know, I'm just going to give you the numbers and then I'll read them. It's going to be Articles 7, 8, 9, 14, 15, 17, and 19. So they're for some different things, but they all require a 2/3 vote, so that's why I want to try to take them all together. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $200,000 for road construction and resurfacing, including the payment of costs incidental or related thereto, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $17,700.30 to make the annual lease payment on the Highway Department's Ford F-550 truck, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $30,000 to purchase and equip a flail mower for the Highway Department, including all incidental and related costs, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to authorize the police chief to enter into an agreement to lease purchase 10 digital capable portable radios and supporting equipment for a period of 4 years, and to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $6,950 to make the first payment on said digital capable radios and supporting equipment, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into an agreement to lease purchase fiber optic build-out equipment, electronic components, a unified telephone system, and associated supporting equipment necessary to complete a multi-department technology upgrade for a period of 4 years, and to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $22,000 to make the first payment on said equipment, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a total sum of $48,903.05 to pay the annual lease payments for the fire department vehicles as part of the lease purchase programs previously authorized, or take any other action relative thereto. And lastly, in this group, Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the total sum of $16,724.23 to pay the annual lease payment for the fire department command vehicle as part of the lease purchase programs previously authorized, or take any other action relative thereto. Now, I heard no holds on any of those items. I just want to do a double check that there are indeed no holds.
No holds in here.
No holds in here, okay. And so I'd like a motion for these, to take up these 7 articles as read.
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion that we vote Articles 7, 8, 9, 14, 15, 17, and 19 as you presented in a block.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and as I understand it, these are all to be funded from the capital stabilization account. Is that correct? Okay, so this will require a 2/3 vote. All in favor of Articles 7, 8, 9, 14, 15, 17, and 19, please raise your right hands. Opposed? It's unanimous in here.
Passes by 2/3 majority.
2/3 majority in the other room, unanimous here. It passes by 2/3 of the total. Give me a second to do a little housekeeping here. Okay, Article 10. Sorry. Article 10. To see if the town will vote to appropriate or reserve from the community preservation fiscal year 2021 estimated annual revenues in the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee for committee administrative expenses, community preservation projects, and other expenses in fiscal year 2021, with each item to be considered as a separate appropriation. Appropriations from FY 2021 estimated revenues for committee administrative expenses, $5,000. Reserves from FY 2021 estimated revenues for historic resources reserve, $10,000. From FY 2021 estimated reserves for community housing reserve, $10,000. From FY 2021 estimated reserves for open space reserve, $10,000. From FY 2021 estimated reserves for budgeted reserve, $65,000, or take any other action thereto, presented by the Plympton Community Preservation Committee. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move the article as printed in the warrant.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to pass Article 10 as printed in the warrant. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Moderator, Mark Russo, 140 Palmer Road. I'm speaking now not as a selectman, but as chair of the Community Preservation Committee. Article 10 is the housekeeping article mandated by CPA law, which we pass each year. Essentially, it's CPA mandates that communities set aside certain amount in the required buckets, and that's what this article does.
Thank you, Mr. Russo. Any other comments or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Article 10, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed? It's unanimous in here?
Unanimous.
Okay, the next 3 all have to do with the assessor's office, so I'm going to ask that we take those together. Or I'm going to take those together. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $2,500 for the purpose of preparing the fiscal 2021 interim year real property valuation of the town, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $2,500 for the purpose of preparing the fiscal 2022 quinquennial real property real valuation of the town, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to transfer from overlay surplus funds the sum of $10,000 for the purpose of purchasing and installing an update for assessor's computer-assisted mass appraisal system software which may include but not be limited to conversion to a new system, installation and hardware upgrades, and anything incidental or related thereto, or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion for these three articles?
Yes, Mr. Moderator. I move that the articles be printed in the order that's been presented as written in the warrant.
Second. I have a motion and a second for Articles 11, 12, and 13 as printed in the warrant. Any discussion? Seeing no hands, all in favor of Articles 11, 12, and 13, please raise your right hands. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous in here?
Passes by majority.
Yeah, Mr. Moderator,
Oh,
I don't
sorry, yes.
think that motion was properly read. It was supposed to be move 11 and 12 as printed in the warrant with funding from free cash, and then 13 from overlay surplus.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to take a revote on this. Articles 11 and 12 are as printed, except that the funds will be coming from free cash, and Article 13 is from overlay surplus. All in favor of 11, 12, and 13 under those circumstances, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous?
Majority.
Thank you, Town Council, for catching that. Okay, that carries 11, 12, 13, we did 14, 15. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from the ambulance fund or any other available funds the sum of $340,000 to purchase and equip an ambulance and to authorize the fire chief to take all actions and execute any documents necessary to effectuate the purposes of this vote or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Moderator Steve Silver, 24 Pope's Farm, also the town fire chief. For Article 16, I move that the town vote to transfer $340,000 from the ambulance fund to the purchase and equip of a new ambulance.
Second?
I have a motion and a second for Article 16. Do I hear any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Article 16, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous in here?
Unanimous.
And we did 17 already. This might have to become an annual thing. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $10,000 for the purchase of new personal protective equipment, PPE, to replace aging PPE or take any other action relative thereto. May I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, again, Steve Silver, 24 Pope's Farm. I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $10,000 from free cash for the purchase of new personal protective equipment, PPE, to replace aging PPE.
Second?
I have a motion and a second for Article 18 to transfer transfer from free cash $10,000 for the purchase of personal protective equipment. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Article 18, raise your right hands. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous in here?
Unanimous.
19 we did. Article 20. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $12,000 to provide the required 5% match for a FEMA AFG grant to purchase and equip a new truck to replace Brush Truck 183 if said grant application is successful or take any action relative thereto.
Mr. Moderator, Steve Silver, again, Fire Chief, 24 Pope's Farm, Plympton. For Article 20, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $12,000 from free cash to provide the required 5% match for a FEMA AFG grant to purchase and equip a new truck to replace Brush Truck 183 if said grant application is successful.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. So Article 20, the motion is to fund from free cash the sum of $12,000 for the purpose stated. Any discussion? All in favor, Article 20, raise your right hands, please. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous in here?
Unanimous.
Article 21, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $8,000 for the purchase, repair, and/or replacement of self-contained breathing apparatus, SCBA, or take any other action relative thereto.
Mr. Moderator, again, Steve Silva, 24 Pope's Farm. I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $8,000 from free cash for the purchase, repair, and/or replacement of self-contained breathing apparatus, SCBA.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to fund the $8,000 for Article 21 from free cash, as stated in the article. Any discussion? All in favor of Article 21, raise your right hands. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous in here?
Unanimous.
Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $14,000 to support a part-time school resource officer for the Silver Lake Middle School or take any other action relative thereto.
Mr. Moderator, John Wilhelmsen, 255 Main Street. I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $14,000 from free cash to support a part-time school resource offer for the Silver Lake Middle School.
Second.
I have a motion and second for Article 22 to fund it out of free cash. Any discussion?
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
just for information.
I'm
for
sorry, I recognize the chairman of the Finance Committee, just so in the other room you can't see who's speaking.
Sorry. Nathaniel Sides, Finance Committee. Just for information for the town, because the Finance Committee was not aware of what happened last year. We had the same article before us last year. The town of Plympton approved the article. The town of Halifax did not approve the article. So we were wondering what became of this person. Was our $14,000, did it only pay for a certain number of hours per day or a certain number of days per week? So I just wanted to make the town aware, because I'm sure people are wondering out there, that when the town of Halifax did not fund this position, the money that we did appropriate last year, the same $14,000, was spent for literally a part-time officer. So instead of the school receiving the benefit of having a resource officer full-time, split between the two towns of Plympton and Halifax, it was literally only there for the amount of time that $14,000 buys. And it's more just, again, for informational purposes, not a comment on the appropriateness or not.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor of Article 22, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous in this room? I'm sorry, majority in this room?
Majority.
Article passes. Article 23. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $100,000 for the replacement of the roof and insulation at the Highway Department building, including any and all related work incidental thereto, or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer $100,000 from the General Stabilization Fund for the replacement of the roof and insulation of the Highway Department building, including any and all related work incidental thereto.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to fund Article 23 in the amount of $100,000 from the General Stabilization Fund. So that's going to require a 2/3 vote. Is there any discussion? I'm sorry, capital stabilization or general stabilization?
General.
General.
Okay. No comments. Again, this will require a 2/3 vote. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Down, hands opposed. It's unanimous in here.
Unanimous.
Article passes. Article 24. To see if the town will vote to raise, I'm sorry, then I'm in a rut. To see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to acquire by gift or purchase and upon such terms and conditions as the Board of Selectmen deems appropriate, the land at 0 Soul Street in the town of Plympton, or any other portion thereof or interest therein which may be a lease, known as the Soul Farm Homestead, identified as Town Assessor's Parcel ID number 23-02-97, and believed to be more particularly described in that deed recorded with the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds in Book 8431, page 269, for recreation purposes, which purposes may include providing parking to facilitate access to and public use of the Two Brooks Preserve conservation lands, and to seek such approval of the general court as may be required, which may include approval under Article 97 of the amendments to the Massachusetts Constitution to allow for such use and acquisition, and further to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds and or borrow a sum of money, and to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into all agreements and take all action necessary, convenient, or appropriate to provide for such acquisition and or use, or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move the article as printed in the warrant.
Second?
The article has been moved and seconded.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Town Council, can I recommend a friendly amendment? It's my understanding that there is no funding associated with this article, and therefore I would just recommend a friendly amendment to delete the wording and further to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, and or borrow a sum of money.
You're saying to leave those words?
I'm sorry?
What are you suggesting? What's your friendly motion?
I move the article as printed in the warrant, but deleting the words raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, and or borrow a sum of money.
Okay, so I'm going to need somebody to make this motion, right? A town meeting member is to make a motion. I'm asking somebody to make a motion as recommended by town council to delete the words raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, and or borrow a sum of money from this article.
Mr. Moderator, I'll so move that motion.
Second?
It's been moved and second to delete the words raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, and or borrow a sum of money. So first is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll vote on the motion, not the full article, just the motion to delete those words. All in favor, please raise your right hands. Down, hands opposed. It's unanimous in this room.
Unanimous.
Now on the article itself, is there any discussion?
We have a question coming.
Question from the auditorium.
Susan Federline, 192 Main Street. I guess I just
Hold on a second, ma'am. Can we turn the mic up a little bit, please?
Susan Federline, 192 Main Street.
Thank you.
I guess I just don't understand, how can the Board of Selectmen pay for the purchase of the property if they can't raise and appropriate funds?
I'd like to speak to that.
Mr. Moderator, there's a long, complex backstory that goes with this article, and I'll try to briefly simplify it. The article concerns a parcel of land on Soul Street in Plympton, owned by the town of Plympton. Middleborough leases the land to the Soul Homestead, which makes payment in lieu of taxes to Plympton. A while back, we encountered some issues needing attention regarding the use of Chapter 61B, the tax designation for open space and recreation for town-owned land. Sparing you a lot of the details, a creative and viable solution was formulated after an amazing number of hours of discussion between assessors, Board of Selectmen, town administrators, town councils of both towns, The result was the idea of Plympton leasing 7.5 acres of the Middleborough-owned land from Middleborough. The lease payment would be equal to the payment in lieu of taxes paid to Plympton. Part of the property could then be used as a trailhead and access to Two Brooks Preserve and the Soul Homestead. So this becomes a win-win-win situation. It resolves a complicated valuation issue, relieves Soul Homestead of an unintended crippling tax burden, fosters a sense of intermunicipal cooperation, and benefits both towns by creating a trailhead that connects over 130 acres of Plympton conservation land and 120 acres of Middleborough. So for all the complication, what this article does is simply authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into a lease agreement and other actions to create this arrangement. The Town of Middleborough annual town meeting will be doing the same. Bottom line, a win-win-win for all concerned.
So am I right in just trying to synopsize that for the questioner? This is kind of like a barter or a swap that will cost the town no additional outlay, and that's why we can take all the funding sources out of the article.
Correct.
Ms. Vetterlein, does that answer your question?
I don't think so.
Yes, thank you.
Never mind, it did.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 24 as amended, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous in here?
Unanimous.
Article 25. To see if the town will vote to amend the Plympton zoning bylaws, Section 8.1, floodplain and watershed protection district, by updating the panel dates and suffixes contained within paragraph 3 of section 8.11, so that paragraph 3 of section 8.11 will read as follows. And I'd like to permission the town to skip all of the reading of this entire article from here on down and get to the bottom line, which is the district may include land outside of the FEMA special hazard flood areas. The firm and FIS reports are incorporated herein by reference and are on file with the town clerk, planning board, building office, and conservation commission, or take any other action thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move to refer the article back to the planning board.
Second that.
So I have a motion and a second to refer this article back to the planning board. Is there any discussion on the motion? So seeing there's no discussion, the motion is by the selectmen the motion is to refer this article back to the planning board. So we would not be voting on this article. What we'll be voting on is the motion to refer this back to the board. So make sure everyone's clear on that. So all in favor of the motion to refer this article back to the planning board, please raise your right hands. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous in this room.
Unanimous.
So Article 25 has been referred back to the planning board. Article 26. To see if the town will vote to accept the renumbering and revision of the zoning bylaw of the town from its original numbering, as amended through the December 2019 special town meeting, to the numbering or codification, arrangement, sequence, and captions, and the comprehensive revisions to the text of the zoning bylaw, as set forth in the final draft of the Code of the Town of Plympton, dated April 2020, said codification of the zoning bylaw, and on file at the office of the town clerk, on the town's website, at town.plympton.ma.us, said recodification having been done under the direction of the planning board, and being a compilation and comprehensive revision of the present zoning bylaw, including amendments thereto. All zoning bylaws as amended heretofore in force shall be repealed, except as such repeal shall not affect any suit or proceeding pending as a result of the existing law. The zoning bylaw shall be codified as Chapter 300 of the, quote, Code of the Town of Plympton, Massachusetts, end quote, or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, Alan Wheelock, can you hear me? Alan Wheelock, 10 Center Street, Chairman of the Bylaw Review Committee. I move the article as printed in the warrant.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for Article 26 as printed. Any discussion?
Mr. Moderator, you need the report of the planning board, which I am happy to provide. Ann Sobolewski, 255 Main Street, Chair of the Planning Board. On the 10th of June, the Planning Board held a public hearing with respect to this warrant article. It was advertised and published appropriately. The members of the Planning Board were present, as was Mr. Wheelock. It was discussed, and the Planning Board voted unanimously, 5 in favor, none opposed, to support this warrant article. What this project involves, if people remember several years ago when Tara was the town clerk, she proposed that the general code company come in and look at all of our bylaws. They reviewed them, and then the bylaw review committee also worked on them to create a comprehensive recodification that is computerized, so that now in the future, when people want to look at what the zoning is, it will be much more readily accessible, it will be searchable, it will be much more easy to maintain when there are future changes. And for all of those reasons, the planning board thought that this was an excellent idea, and we were unanimously in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for keeping me on my toes, Mrs. Sobolewski. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Article 26 as printed, please raise your right hand. Down, hands opposed. Unanimous in here.
Unanimous.
Article 27, to see if the town will vote to accept the renumbering and revision of various bylaws of the town from their original numbering or their numbering in the general bylaws as amended through the December 2019 special town meeting to the numbering or codification, arrangement, sequence, and captions and the comprehensive revisions to the text of the general bylaws as set forth in the final draft of the Code of the Town of Plympton dated April 2020 and on file at the office of the town clerk on the town's website at town.plympton.ma.us, said recodification having been done under the direction of the Board of Selectmen, and said code being a compilation and comprehensive revision of the present bylaws of the town. All bylaws of a general and permanent nature as amended, heretofore in force, and not included in the code, shall be repealed except that such repeal shall not affect any suit or proceeding pending as a result of an existing law, and such repeal shall not apply to or affect any bylaw, order, or article heretofore adopted, accepting or adopting the provisions of any statute of the Commonwealth. These bylaws shall be referred to as the, quote, Code of the Town of Plympton, Massachusetts, end quote, or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, Alan Wheelock, 10 Center Street. I move the article as printed in the warrant.
Second. I have a motion and a second for Article 27. Since this was not a zoning bylaw, it does not need a planning board report. That one I know. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Article 27 as printed, please raise your right hands. I talked too long myself. Down hands. All opposed? Unanimous in here?
Unanimous.
Article 28. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $3,100 for bylaw codification or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, Alan Wheelock, 10 Center Street. I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $3,100 from free cash for bylaw codification.
Second. I have a motion and a second for Article 28 to fund the $3,100 written in the article from free cash. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the article, raise your right hands. Down hands, opposed. Unanimous in here?
Unanimous.
All right, Articles 29, 30, 31, and 32 are all pilot agreements. This is payment in lieu of taxes. And it's a way that the town gets money from solar installations in lieu of what would be a normal, straightforward property tax thing. That's the pilot agreement. So I'm going to try to take these four together. I will read the titles of the articles, and if anyone has a hold on any of them, call out at that time. Article 29, Brook Street, Plympton Solar 1, LLC. Article 30, Upland Road Solar 1, LLC. Article 31, Plympton Lake Street Solar, LLC. Article 32, Main Street Solar, LLC. Hearing no hold, do I have a motion on these four articles?
Mr. Moderator, I'll make a motion that we vote Articles 29, 30, 31, and 32 as printed in the warrant as a block.
Second.
I have a motion second to accept these, to pass these articles 29, 30, and 31, and 32 as a block, as printed. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of this block of articles 29, 30, 31, and 32, please raise your right hand. Down hands. Opposed? Majority in this room?
Majority.
The articles pass. Article 33, to see if the town will vote to establish a natural resource protection fund to protect key natural resources in Plympton, to be funded primarily through town meeting approved transfers of funds earned by the sale of town-owned land or other fund transfers. These funds are to be used to match federal, state, or private and charitable grants, and or to fund other natural resource protection efforts that protect land for watershed protection, groundwater sources, flood control, critical habitats, passive recreation, wellhead protection, and related benefits, or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move to pass over the article.
Second. I have a motion to pass over Article 33. Is it second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to pass over Article 33. Is there any discussion? All in favor of passing over Article 33, please raise your right hand. Down hands. Opposed? Unanimous in here?
Unanimous.
The article is passed over. Article 34, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $5,500 raised from the sale of farm pumps formerly used on the Two Brooks Preserve land for the purpose of constructing public access areas, including parking lots, trails, fencing, kiosks, signs, and related appurtenances, I know I was going to play that word, or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move the article, I move to pass over the article.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to pass over the article that contains, I was going to say it right that time, never mind. I have a motion to pass over Article 34. Any discussion? Appurtenances. Seeing none, all in favor of passing over Article 34, raise your right hands, please. Down hands. Opposed? Unanimous in here?
Unanimous.
Article 35, to see if the town will vote to adjourn this annual town meeting until 8 a.m. on June 20th, 2020, in the Plympton Townhouse for the sole purpose of conducting the annual town election, and further that this annual town meeting warrant will be dissolved immediately upon the closing of the polls on that date. The polls will open at 8 a.m. and shall be continuously open for voting until 6 p.m. To bring in their ballots for the following town officers: 1 selectman for 3 years, 1 Board of Assessor member for 3 years, 1 Board of Health member for 3 years, 2 constables for 3 years, 2 finance committee members for 3 years, 2 library trustees for 3 years, 1 library trustee for 2 years, 1 planning board member for 5 years, 1 planning board member for 1 year, 2 Plympton School Committee members for 3 years, 1 Silver Lake Regional School Committee member for 2 years. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move the article as printed in the warrant.
Second?
I have a motion and a second on Article 35 as printed in the warrant. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Article 35, please raise your right hand. Down hands opposed? Unanimous in here?
Unanimous.
So before we go, you just voted to adjourn the meeting until Saturday, which is awesome. I just want to remind you, upon leaving, we're going to leave in the most efficient way to keep us all safe. In the auditorium, you will leave out the side doors directly to the parking lot. Please go to your cars and only then remove your mask. No congregating outside or in the hallways. And in this room, either leave by the front door to my left, to your right, again, directly outside, go to your cars. Or if you're towards the back and you want to go out through the center doors and take your first left to exit to the parking lot, do that. Thank you all very much for coming. You're a hardy bunch, and I appreciate you. Good night.